Hello everyone, my name is Bill Dunn. In this video I'm going to talk about our Qpublic map buttons. The map buttons are described here. There's a list of them here. They allow you to perform a variety of functions on the map, and there are several of these, and some of these have their own unique multiple features. So this video may take a little bit to get through. Alright, let's get started. Usually when everyone visits our website, they will go to our website, mccrackenpva.com, then they'll go to tax roll, and then you'll either log in or you'll go to the free map. So this brings up the map. For demonstration purposes here, I'm going to use our office address, so I don't use any particular one, private citizens as an example. So I'm going to use the PVA office, which is 621 Washington Street, and that is right here. Okay, so when I say the Qpublic map buttons, I'm talking about these features right up here at the top. These. There's a zoom in, zoom out, and there's a GPS button, and these variety of buttons right here. So some of these are pretty straightforward, but I'm going to go through them and talk about each one. So this one right here, these two, these are your straightforward zoom in, zoom out buttons, and you see it's pretty straightforward. This one down here is a GPS button. This actually works best if you're on a tablet or a cell phone. If you're using this website, our map, on your GPS enabled tablet or cell phone. Sometimes it actually works very well sitting here on my desktop computer. How it knows where I'm at, that is exactly where I'm at here in the office. And how it knows that I'm here and I'm connected on my desktop computer through a wired connection, I don't know that. But if I were to walk around on my using my tablet or my cell phone, this button would walk with me, that little blue dot. As I walk, if I were to walk out of the office, that blue dot would follow me down the sidewalk everywhere I went. And it's usually pretty accurate, although I have seen a few times where it was a little off. But right now it's spot on. So I'm going to turn that off, otherwise it's going to follow me. It's going to stay there. So now it's back off. So the first button here is your identify button. And it has different modes as well. One where you could click on a property, another where you can just hover over a property, and another where you could just tell it not to show anything. But so right now I've actually got this one selected. This is the one most people use, and if I click on our property here at the PVA office, this is what it shows. It shows a little snippet here. It shows the address, the property owner, lets you go to the report, the map number, and some more options here for mapping. And then down here it's got some more options, more information, shows you that's an exempt county property, shows you the acreage, shows you the tax district, which is 08, which is the Paducah School District. This is the legal description, and a little bit about the legal description. Here is the old parcel number. We don't use those, but those are still used for some of our maps that we have, our older maps. This is the lot size, and this is the address of our property here. The lot size means it's 59 by 173, so it's about 59 feet across and 173 feet deep right there. And over here you've got the map number. Some of the software still calls it a parcel ID, but now we call it a map number. And then you've got the property address. There's two addresses on this bottom portion here. There's the physical address right here, and then there's the mailing address for the owner. So that you need to differentiate between those two. Over here on the right side, it's got basically a lot of the same information. So if I didn't want to click, I could just go to hover, and all I'm doing here is hovering. I'm not clicking on anything, and you can see as I stop, it will display that same information in this tooltip right here. Or if I don't want to do any of that, I can turn it off. Now I'm not doing anything. So I'm going to change it back to the click option, which is the one we use most of the time. So the next one here is selection tools. This is different ways which you can select a property. So the first one here is select by a rectangle. So I clicked, and now I've got my mouse held down and I'm drawing or rubber banding, some people call it, a rectangle. And all the properties that I'm over right now are going to be selected. So this tool is pretty straightforward. If I don't want to do a rectangle, I could do a polygon, which means multiple corners. That's useful sometime. Or if I just want to do a line, I can just draw a line. I drew a line from here to there, and it knew I was selecting those two properties right there. Or if I want to do some crazy shape, I could do one of these, and it selects everything that you see here in yellow is selected. And I want to talk about that a little bit further next. The last one here is where you can select individual properties. Did you see what it did here? These were already selected, and it let me add more to the selection. And if I hold the control key down, I can deselect some of these. If I don't want this one here, the PVA office, I can hold control down and click, and it deselects that property. But another thing that some people aren't aware of is, so these properties that I've got selected right here, they're highlighted in yellow, and the website remembers this. So if I were to go to results right here, it's going to show me in a list form all of these properties that are highlighted in yellow. So here's a short list, and here's a more detailed list. And one of the things that the realtors like is the mailing labels. So you could go through, select a neighborhood, all the properties in a subdivision, say, that you're interested in mailing a letter to, and then you could come over here to results, and then you could click download, and you could download an Excel spreadsheet that you can use to create your mailing labels, because Excel has a mailing label option. So that's a highly desired feature right there. We actually pay extra money to Qpublic for this right here in itself. So I'm going to go back, and so we just talked about the selection tools. So I don't want those highlighted anymore. I'm going to turn them off. If I click that, that's a little eraser. So I'm going to click select or clear selection, and now they're deselected. So now I'm back to nothing selected. So the next one we've got is Zoom. Zoom has multiple options as well. The first one is zoom in. You can zoom in anywhere you click. Or if you're like me, you just like using the roller on your mouse button. Right now I'm using my mouse button. I'm rolling in and out. Now I'm rolling back in. I'm pushing the roller button on my mouse another direction. And zoom out. It's got a plus and a minus there. Works the same as these two over here. Same thing. Those aren't real hard. This one here is full extent. Just brings you back to the full county-wide map. This one here, zoom to selection. Now, see, we don't have anything selected there, which would be the PVA office. So I'm gonna do a trick here. I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna randomly select, because I'm not zoomed in close enough. I'm gonna randomly select on a property. I'm gonna select Noble Park. Then I'm gonna go back to that zoom option, and I'm going to click zoom to selection, and it's going to zoom in closer on Noble Park here. See, that's what it did. It did exactly what I said. So that's beneficial sometime. And then there's forward and back. So I can go back and see the ones that I had just zoomed in and out previously. So the next one, this here is a hand. It's normally called a pan tool by a lot of features. It just lets you move the screen around without selecting or doing anything with the other tools. It just lets you move the screen. So there's the deselect or the clear selection button. I just turned it back off. Something else, you could see these buttons up here across the top, they change depending on if you have something selected or not. I'm going to select this area right here, the old Harris property. Now that's the county property, sports complex. I'm going to select one, and watch the menu up here change. Well, I just did that. Let me do it again. So I'm going to clear the selection. It's going to turn this off. And watch the menu up here change. So when I have something selected, it knows, and the menu options up here change. See how it changed again? So the menu up here works with if you have something selected or not. Okay, so the next one, I'm going to turn that off. So I deselected a property. Next I'm going to show this one, which is the spatial selection mode. It's got two modes, buffer and select. And you can see the difference here. Buffer means if you want to select everything around a property, current parcels means the current parcel that you're looking at right now. Whereas you could select another layer here, but most people are going to use current parcels. Let's say I want to select all the properties within, say, 500 feet of the property I have selected right now. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to select one property. That's the button I want for selecting one property. And sometimes an example of a use for this is if a property owner comes into the PVA office, they say they are doing a zoning change with the county. The county needs a list of all the property owners, and the owner has to come to the PVA office, get a list of all the owners within so many feet of their property, so the county can mail those property owners a notice that there's a potential zoning change about to happen. They have to, the county planning commission has to give those people the right to speak up if they will approve or disapprove of that change. So they come here to get those mailing lists. So let's say I'm going to use an example right here. This is Greenway Village. So I'm going to select a property right there in the middle of it, which is numerous properties, or numerous apartments and condos and whatnot. So I'm going to go, so I've got that selected. Now I'm going to go back to the selection tool. I've got 500 feet. I've got current parcels, which is this one right here. And it's going to select all the properties within 500 feet of this property right here. So there's the buffer. It's got everybody selected. If you see in yellow, here's a property because it's outlined in yellow. All of these it intersects, so those are in yellow, and this one, and this one, and this one. And if I go to, and when I click that, you can see this menu up here changed again, so it knows there are properties that are selected. If I go to results, it's going to show me all the properties that are selected inside that 500 feet. And as I described earlier, here's a brief list, here's a more detailed list, and what the property owners want from us is they want that mailing label list. So we can click on download and we hand it to them, or we can email it to them if they want. And so I'm going to go back, and so there's all those properties. Now let's say I don't want I don't exactly want a buffer of say 500 feet. Let's say I want to do one that where all of the property, let's say all of my neighbors are completely within the range. So I can hit select there, and now it's got all of the properties that are within that range. And so that's the buffer and the select options right there. This one here, I'm going to deselect those. Now remember, when I deselect these, I'm going to use the clear selection tool. This menu is going to change, and all this is going to go away. Okay. So now I'm going to demonstrate this next one, which is Google Street View. This one's great as well, and we use it periodically. So let's say I want to look at the street level view down here in this area in front of the car dealers on Park Avenue. So I'm zoomed in to where I want to go, and if I click Google Street View, I'm in Google Street View mode now, and I click a property here. Actually, I clicked that on the street, but that's okay. Google Street View comes up, and you can see the dealership there. And this is fantastic because this is actually one of our photos that we took with our car. This is McCracken County PVA. We took it in September of 24. This is the top of our car right here. If I want to look at other dates that were taken by the Google car themselves, I could see April, or I could click this up here. Then I could click the other dates, go back in time, and see. And if you know how to use Google Street View, you know you can go forward and backward, and you can turn, and all those options. So this is fantastic. So I'm going to close this. And now one of the things that some people forget is if you're still in Google Street View on that button there, some people will forget. They'll click on another property thinking they're going to see that little tooltip that comes up, and Google Street View will come up, and you're like, oh dang it, I forgot I was in that. So if you're done with that, go back to this or the pan tool so that you don't get Google Street View to come back up. So another one that's pretty useful for some people, depending on who you are and what you're doing, there's a measurement tool right here. It measures length and area, and let's say I want to measure the length of this wall right here. So you can see it changes the length as I move it. It's 148.5 feet right there. It says in the middle of the line. Right here it's 92.76 feet. And if I double click right here, it's going to just show me the measurement for that line. So I double clicked, that line is complete. It shows the length of it up here as well. But if I want to use the area tool, I have to, let's say I'm going to measure the roof over here. I'm going to start here, click once, put it on the edge right there, click once, put it down here, click once, click once. Now I'm going to go back to my start, and it kind of snaps to the beginning point. So I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to double click, and it tells me the size of that area is 21,265 square feet. Also says it up here in square feet. I don't have to use square feet. I could use square miles, acres, and so forth. So if you want to measure how much land there is, you could switch it to acres and use that. And it also has the length, these four sides here measured up, which is useful to us, because not only do we need the area, but if we're trying to cost estimate a new home or a new commercial building, not only do we need the area, but the Marshall and Swift software that we're using will also want to know the parameter, or the perimeter, the length of all the walls. So that has that measurement there for us as well, and you can switch options there too. So whenever you're done using this tool, or you want to make a new measurement, you want to get rid of this, just click clear. All that goes away. So the next tool up here is a zoom to XY. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this one, but this one lets you go to a latitude or longitude. depending on the format that you have. Here's a decimal format, here's the degrees, minutes, and seconds format if you'd rather put that in. So I don't have an example of that, but I don't think many people use that. So I'm gonna go to the next one. So this one here is map markup. This lets you draw on the screen. So if I wanted to draw a box, I can draw a box. Let's say I'm going to take this and I'm going to send it to someone. There's a variety of things that you can do here. Now, it didn't put anything in here because I didn't have it. I didn't have it set before I created it. There you go. And the next one is just another draw. I can draw lines. I'm going to double click and stop it. This one over here is drawn like this. I'm holding the mouse down. I'm just drawing somewhere. Text. Test 1, 2, 3. Well, now this one's not performing as I expected. I must be thinking of this one. Okay. And then this one here, this is a copy features from selection. I don't have anything selected at the moment. And then there's delete. And then there's erase. You can erase all of them. So I don't know how many people use that, but there's an option there too if you need it. So the next one is maximize. That just gets rid of the layer option over here. I'm going to turn it back on by clicking the button up here at the top. And here is print setup. If you want to print what's on the screen here, if you want to print it in a nice format, and you can see it puts these things over here. It's kind of a preview. You can turn off the header, the overview, the arrows, and change print quality and various things. And then you can go to print as PDF. It brings up the PDF preview, and then you can print this, and you can make a very nice professional printout if you need to do that for some reason. And then there's print. This will just print the screen. Well, that's the same thing that we just looked at, but that's just the print button. And this one here will let you save the image that you're looking at now as a JPEG or a PNG file. I'm going to save it as a JPEG. Up here, it's going to display it's going to save it up here in my downloads. It's going to download immediately. So I clicked it. Well, last time it just popped up here. It didn't do this. There it is. Okay, I didn't give it time to finish. And if I click it, here's the image that I was just looking at. So this is this presentation. I showed you all the map buttons up here across the top. I showed you the zoom in, zoom out, and I showed you the GPS button. And the last one is goes back to the county-wide map. I hope you found this useful. If you need anything, my door is always open. Please feel free to call or email me or my staff, or come by the office anytime you like.